We're going to do that again. Welcome, everybody, back to another edition of the Game Vault Podcast News Hour. I'm your host, Mark, and we are here getting close to the end of November here. It's basically the middle of the month. We're 3 of 4 weeks into our extra life, so that has flown by pretty quickly. Hope everybody has had a good week since we last spoke on Monday. I've had, some interesting things occur. In terms of gaming, and some good news for you guys, and some gaming adjacent stuff that I partook in, I guess, last night that I'd like to briefly talk about. But without further ado, so what I've been playing since Monday, I played a lot more since I beat Metaphor. I wanted to take a little break from long form, games, because I got Life is Strange Double Exposure, which I just purchased on Steam, along with Blastro, the Alan Wake DLC, Sea of Stars DLC. I got some stuff coming up, so I wanted to take a few days, because I knew Saturday was going to be possibly a lot of games, which it turned out to only be 2, but I just wanted to make sure, I wasn't like fully dived into something else. Hi, Metal Militia. Hi, Night Duck. How you guys doing? So I played a lot of NCAA football. As always, I say I won my 4th national championship in 5 years. Go Heels. And we are embarking on our 5th of 6. Hey, Goat, how you doing? Welcome to the podcast. So yeah, the only thing I've noticed, and I don't know if anybody else out there has been playing NCAA since the beginning, as I have. I noticed that since they've been updating stuff, some things have gotten better, but then I've started to see some Madden glitches creep in. I was telling Tom about this. I had one where a ball bounced off the receiver's shoulder and went 20 feet in the air, and then he seemed to be the only one to know where it was at, even though he would have had no idea where it was at because it hit him on the back of the shoulder, and then he caught it for a first down. And that is stuff that I've seen in Madden, where like impossible bounces and things like that, and some of those have started to creep in. So I'm getting a little nervous about that, that maybe the quality is, as they're focusing more on the online features, which is all I see, for obvious reasons, all over the social media and Twitch, that maybe they're letting the base game sort of, come under the same issues as Madden has every year. But I'm still having fun with it, still playing some good games, some close games. The AI is started to do it's not gotten to cheating levels, because there's been some Madden times where it's like been virtually impossible to win a game. Like you could literally do everything correct and somehow they would win. But they are like, you can tell early on that you're either going to, oh, no. I don't watch Madden Twitch streams. Sorry to answer the question from Night Duck. If you want to be in the chat, we do this live. We're here on Sunday. We normally do this on Friday. But, I didn't want to do one 4 days apart. So I stretched it out to this Sunday. No. What I mean is the official College Football 25 Twitch account streams, and I had them on notifications pre-release, so that I could get like the updates and showing gameplay and stuff like that on there. And everything I see on the Twitch notifications, like their little thing of what they're doing, is all about, the Ultimate Team and online, and barely mentions Dynasty or Road to Glory anymore. And that was the only thing I was getting worried, that the Madden glitches are slipping in, because they're worried about that stuff more than making sure the game is still playing as well as it did in the beginning. So I haven't watched the stream of theirs since they began. They're doing a fun thing where they try to play the game of the week on there, which would seem interesting, but yeah, everything else they do their Monday rundown or something, and it's whatever new they have on the Ultimate Team online thing, and it's kind of worries me a bit, but like I said, still having fun with it. Still love the craziness of having one of my players become the greatest player in the history of college football. I had a cornerback that had 51 interceptions in 4 years. Just to let you know, the current NCAA record is like 30, I believe. And that goes back to like the 70s. So it's kind of fun when that stuff occurs in the game. And interceptions are one thing I do not control because I am shit at playing cornerback. So I usually let the computer handle that. So they decide to make this guy the greatest cornerback in the history of college football. But yeah, I've been playing that sort of as a palate cleanser off of Metaphor, as I get ready for my mad rush from now until the end of December to play all the games that could possibly make it onto my Game of the Year list, or my favorite games list. I never say Game of the Year because I don't play enough games to say this is the Game of the Year. This is my favorite game of the year, and, my personal one. So I always make that clarification. So I have Life is Strange, Double Exposure, Blastro, Stalker 2, Indiana Jones, and then I got a couple DLCs, which will not count towards it to play, Alan Wake and Sea of Stars. So yeah, it's the mad rush towards this time of year. I do it to myself because as a single man, I do not have kids or significant other to worry about. So this is how I fill my time when not looking for the latter. So I am able to make a top 10 more readily than everybody else associated with the channel. So so it's basically been NCAA. And then the other things I'm playing, I believe... I played 2 games. Balatro. Okay. Yes. Thank you. My pronunciation guide, Night Duck here knows how to phonetically spell it out for me. Balatro. So yeah, that's one of my. I always have. Before I move on to what we played on Saturday. There's always a game that sometimes pops up out of nowhere that becomes my game of the year. Last year it wasn't, it was pretty obvious from the beginning. Sea of Stars kind of came out of nowhere, and everything. Alan Wake 2 was known, my top of the list wasn't that much of a surprise last year. But in years past, like Inscription came out of nowhere. That was my game of the year. Oxenfree came out of nowhere for me. That was my game of the year. The Life is Strange original was my game of the year because I've never seen anything like it in terms of what they were doing. So that's why I always try to play these games that sort of ride like under the radar mainstream wise, but a lot of games journalists and people that I respect love. So that's why I'm playing that game specifically. And then the other ones are the other things on my radar that are more normal. So yeah. On Saturday, I finished up my Link to the Past randomizer with the multi-world that I had with Night Duck and his Dark Souls 3 stuff. It was fun to go into places and do checks because I still had a couple things I needed to beat the game. I needed to find silver arrows. I do a thing where I don't, just to sidetrack a little bit, based on something in the chat. I know Night Duck is probably slightly joking about this, but niche indie game Elden Ring is my game of the year. That one also came out of nowhere for me. I wasn't expecting me to like that as much, even being a person that liked the Dark Souls games before. But that isn't that isn't the game that I use. The game I'm usually talking about is a game that Balathro is sort of the opposite because it came out earlier. But it's a game that usually pops up in October, November, December. Indie side, gets a lot of pub from people I respect. And then I go in. Like, I'm so glad I played Inscription before everybody started playing it, because the reveals and surprises in that were top notch and made it my game of the year. And me and Roxy Foxy had a great conversation about it because we both finished it. And yeah, so that's why I'm just throwing that game in there. I basically have my top 5 set in terms of games that I already played. Like, there's going to be no discussion. Like 6 through 10, or I could move them around, but 1 through 5 are basically set as of now. And only these monkey wrenches of late games be throwing in there. Yeah, I mean, that can happen too. Especially as the game gets older and DLCs start coming out, you could start running into that problem. That's why I think I've never really gotten hooked on, because I'm assuming, if I remember correctly, Goat, it's Diablo 4. Games like that. I need to. Sports games are the only thing that I can constantly play for a long period of time. That has like iterations onto it. I tend to be good one and done games. Don't play many DLCs. I play Link to the Past a ton. But that game barely has changed, and randomizers change it. But yeah, I can definitely see, like, I get disappointed in sports games all the time. Like a new game, I usually count new games as DLCs to the original all the way back. And when a new one comes out buggy, like, I'm starting to get real worried about NCAA. So yeah, it's bad. I really do dislike when that happens. So yeah, as I was finishing up, speaking of Link to the Past, as I was finishing up the randomizer, the Archipelago randomizer with Night Duck, it was fun doing checks and seeing just empty treasure chests, which were items for him. So I only got frustrated at one point. I needed the big key in Ganon's tower, and I couldn't figure out. It was in the literal last room I checked, and it's a room you never really check, unless you don't have stuff, which I should have realized. I haven't played a randomizer in about a year, so it wasn't fresh in my mind. And then when I got it, I was like, oh, fuck, that spot, that bomb wall when you're doing all the teleporting. Yeah, that has like 4 chests in it. And when I got there, I was like, oh, I found it. Bang, and I got there and I had no bombs. So I had to fuck off, go buy 10 bombs, pop back in, get the thing, finish Ganon's tower, and then I almost beat Ganon first try through there, which I do about 85% of the time. I never die to Ganon anymore in like years. Because for a final boss fight, once you know the what's it called, the cycles that he goes through. God, I couldn't think of that word. And know what you need to have, you can always go in prepared. And I always make sure I have fairies or I have blue potions. And the only thing that happens is what happened to me on Saturday, and Metal Militia can account to it, is I kept getting knocked off the side. One was bullshit. The other 2 were my fault, being too close to the edge while fighting him. And yeah, so yeah. Normally, once I get to go mode in Ganon's tower, it takes about 15 minutes. It took about 25, 30 this time, just because of that key issue. Yeah, and Yeah, we finished that up. It took me like 4 hours instead of the 2 I was expecting it. Or 3.5 instead of the 2 I was expecting. Um, yeah, and then we did our Final Fantasy VII Rebirth spoiler cast. Spoiler alert: I talk a lot in it, and it went a little bit longer. No, deaths at Ganon are never bullshit. They're always your fault because you shouldn't, unless if you don't go in there prepared. You should never die on that boss. He'll knock you off, and then you have to restart the fight. That happens a ton, and it happens to me a bunch. The one that was bullshit was I was in the middle of swinging at him, and my swing hit him and bounced me into the hole, which I didn't know could happen. That was the one I called bullshit on. But the rest of them were all entirely my fault, and they're always my fault. But yeah, I've never actually had a game over to him in a long time, which is so weird. I've had game overs to the bosses right before him, especially Trinex in Turtle Rock. But yeah, but it's just funny. But anyway, so we got that done. We talked a lot about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, actually less than I had planned because I thought I had shortened the run of show. And then we just got really engrossed into things, or I just love to talk about things, and then I get excited, and then I talk way too long. So that's about 2 hours. That'll come out not this Monday, but the Monday of Thanksgiving week, because we are doing a Friendsgiving thing on the 22nd, which would be the normal recording of this show. And since I don't want to rush and record this on that Friday, I'd like to enjoy time with my friends. I'm going to have that be the Thanksgiving week show. I will record probably Black Friday or that Sunday. But yeah. Yeah, so look forward to that spoiler cast then. And then I will have a Metaphor one coming up that will probably air during Christmas week. I have an idea for new things where I might do mini review, either YouTube or podcast or both, when I finish a game on the channel. Here, not Metaphor is going to be different because it's going to be a big discussion at Game of the Year time. So I would like to talk about that a lot. But yeah, games I finish on the channel, just to have a little review of my experiences and stuff like that. So, and maybe go back and maybe we'll retroactively do a ranking or something. Yeah. No. Yeah. Yes. Going back to the Ganon discussion. But yeah, that was, yeah. That fight, that's like the, it was one of those transformative experiences. We're going back to talking about Ganon real fast before I move on to the Eternites discussion. It was one of those turning points where that fight became really not scary anymore once I figured everything out on it. And it just becomes okay, I just got to get through this to finish the game. Let's see if this will only hurt my time more than it'll become a roadblock. And that funny thing also occurred once I learned the speedrunning tactic for beating Soda Pop Insky in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. A boxer that was the bane of my existence for 25 years, I learned the speedrun tactic and I can knock him out in the first round with no problem now. Because not so much because it's easy, and not so much because it's simple. It's a simple thing. It's not like a complicated counting. You literally just bait him to throw a punch, then you do this punch, and it's like that. It's not even like the Glass Joe 42-second knockdown thing, where you have to do 20 missed punches, to have him do. It's not any of that. It was very, very simple and very much pissed me off. But Ganon has become that for me. It's I sort of get pissed when I don't two-cycle him. Meaning when he's doing the twirling of the baton, and I hit him, and he does the twirling again where he has the fire bats come out. Normally, what I call two-cycle is I can get him to his final cycle without the one in between those, which is when he stomps. A fire bat comes out in a circle, and makes it very hard to get near him. When I miss that, I get mad. That's the only time I get mad. There. But anyway, moving on. Eternights. We turned the corner on that in terms of we got 2 new characters. We got Sia and Min. And Sia led to a lot of fun because I just kept getting to yell the word science constantly during that podcast, which was very fun for me. And Min's character definitely seems like the one that I'm going to lean towards going forward. And I did something really stupid and probably only funny to me and maybe Metal Militia in the chat and anybody else that watches professional wrestling. I've now started a little side bit where I've named our group the Bloodline, or just Bloodline because I had limited characters. And every time a new character pops on screen, even though I can't physically have them do it, I make them have to recognize Volty as their tribal chief before they can join the group. And I really wish I was good at Photoshop and programming so that I could get a photo of each one of the characters from Eternights standing in a formation, holding up their one finger, like the Bloodline. It was very stupid. I was very tired Saturday night. So, yeah, now we have to live with that for the rest of the game. But, yeah. I love the new characters. They add a nice little spice to it. I was getting... Chani is sort of doing the Ryuji, Junpei, who's the other guy from 4. Like that goofy side character. I like that he even admits it at one point. He keeps trying to say he's the brains, but he says he's the comedic sidekick. That was starting to get fine, but now he's got more people to bounce that off of, which I think will help out a lot. And also, as much as I love Yuna, as what they're doing as a character and all with her, it was kind of getting grating on me, because it kept being the same thing over and over. Yeah, exactly. That's why it was in my head from Friday, and that's why I did it, Goat. Because of the insanity that's going on with that 5-year plus storyline. And it was just a very stupid thing I made when I was tired, because I was not prepared to have to name a group. Going into Persona 5, I knew I had to name them, so I had a name ready. I forget the name I chose. But now I'm going to load up that save and see what I named them. And, I think it's going to work much better. I think now having her have different people to also, because it was a lot of woe is me stuff from Yuna that was getting tiresome a little bit. And I shouldn't have gotten annoyed, but I did get annoyed at the one part when you're bringing down the first wall. And she has that whole, unable to do it because of the thing that happened. And I'm just like, I thought we went through this when we defeated that boss, that it wasn't your fault, that you're helping people. But no, they had to do it again. So I like that these characters have different, different personalities and different, things that they can do to interact with you and Chani especially. Unji, the little girl that's with you, is a fun time. And then we got to the twist near the end. I think it was the end of the stream where we found out something going on with Yuna, which I don't want to spoil too much. I tried to be as vague as possible talking about things here. But, so... And that was... I think that's all I played. Did I play anything else? No. I downloaded the 2 games I'm going to play next week that I'll probably talk about. I'll probably play a lot over Thanksgiving before we speak on Friday. The only other thing to talk about, which I teased at the beginning, sort of gaming adjacent thing that I did on Saturday. I sat down because I got this weird... through Xfinity Rewards, they gave you this weird movie night package that you could get for free where they sent you a bunch of popcorn kernels and, seasonings for it. Giving thanks for owning the noobs. Exactly. Um, that's what happens in Call of Duty every time for me. I own the noobs. As you know, Jonathan, we played together. You know how much I own the noobs in that game. I got a fun story in the news about that. So yeah, they send you a package. It's like got the white cheddar seasoning, buffalo flavored, all weird seasonings you can now get on your popcorn if you don't want just butter and salt. So they sent me that package. So I was like, hey, I'm going to try one of these. I did the white cheddar, which is what you expect in a white cheddar popcorn. A lot better than the bag stuff because I'm popping the kernels in my air popper. But, I sat down and I watched Like a Dragon Yakuza, the series on Amazon. I watched the first 2 episodes. Mixed feelings on it. One, I like the look of it because it's a much more realistic look into the world and the characters that are portrayed in this game. And it's still a little outlandish, but it's not as cartoonish and video game-ish as kind of like what The Last of Us did with the TV show. A little more grounded. So that part was great. I have to review the beginning of Yakuza to see if the beginning of this... I know there's some things that are different, but I got to see if there's things... I know they don't start the same, but I want to see if bits and pieces are the same. I think there's major things that are different, but that wasn't bothering me at all. Once I realized, they have this whole thing where, Nishiki is, a bigwig with Dojima, and I forgot that he surpassed Kiryu while Kiryu was in prison. I thought, wait, isn't that backwards? But I was like, no. In Yakuza 1, this is what happens. So, that was fine. The other characters, I forget if Miho's in the game or not, but her character's interesting. But the one thing that bothered me a lot, and is probably the only reason I am not going to probably continue watching the show, unless if it gets fixed or if it's my TV or my thing. The dub is terrible. Like, really bad terrible. I've watched some dubs of anime and, movie length animes that are fine. Perfectly. The dub in this is awful. Like, if you do the dub with subtitles, they don't even match. And it was just really, really bad. And the only reason I had to go to the dubs for a little bit is I originally started out subs because that is how you play the Yakuza games. Yeah. The problem that was happening was the Japanese voice the Japanese thing, because they are speaking Japanese, the actors. Like, they're not English actors or Japanese American actors, doing this thing. It is produced in Japan and it is made in Japanese. So that acting is fucking great. Because it's awesome. It's just like the games. But the subtitles disappear for like parts of scenes. Like, I'm not talking about like, it's them saying things that aren't important. Like, key moments in scenes, the subtitles disappear. And it's just people speaking Japanese on the screen. As much as I love Japanese, media and things like that, I myself, surprisingly, do not speak Japanese. So I had no idea what they were saying. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And I still don't know what's going on, because every time I try to look up the issue, I am hit with issues about the video game subtitles and stuff. And I don't know if not enough people watched it because it's like 39% audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So I don't know if enough people didn't care. But it was going really well, and then like in the middle of an important scene in the second episode, just gone for like 5 minutes. Like I just let it go and see, and it was just and almost an entire scene, just with me having no idea what's going on. And then you go back and watch it with the subs, and I'm like, that is not at all what I'm thinking they're saying. Like, that is very Americanized way of portraying. Just from the stuff I've heard earlier in the Japanese with the subtitles, it was just real bad. I think the show is a 7 so far out of 10 in terms of it gets the atmosphere right. The action's fucking nuts, and I love it so far. The guy that plays Kiryu's kind of a badass out there, but I really wish the subtitle with the Japanese voices would work better. I don't think I could sit through the dub. I don't think I could. I just can't. I'm a subs over dubs guy anyway, but this was really bad. Like, they didn't even try to make it match up. So I'm disappointed in that. I think it had potential to be a decent series. The acting is pretty good, but if I can't understand what's going on, thankfully, I could context clue it because I've played the games, to know what was going on in the scene. But not specifically. Like, if they're dropping little hints that come back later, I would have no idea. But yeah. And I got to play Mishima. The brief look at him, I was like, yep, that's a good Mishima. So that's where we're at. I might go back to it. I might check in a month and see if they fixed the sub problem. Or maybe I watch it on my computer on the browser instead of through the app. And see if that fixes it. I don't know. But yeah, that was what I did last night. Popcorn was good. Decent popcorn. But the show was a little disappointing. So anyway, moving on. Let's get into the news. We don't have a whole lot today. But yeah, I forgot to do this, so we can vamp a little bit here. Yeah, so I would recommend, if you can deal with the dub, to watch it because the action's really good so far, and it follows the game for the most part. So if you played the game, you're not going to be 100% lost. So yeah. All right, moving on to the news. Microsoft confirms plans to release an Xbox handheld. But it's years away, of course. Phil Spencer, who for some reason did an interview with Bloomberg, where they didn't ask him many very tough questions from what I could tell in the interview. But that might have been what they had to do to get the interview. And they get this news story, which is kind of crazy. And they're currently working on prototypes and considering exactly what it would look like. Yeah. He talks about he likes building devices and things like that. I think, the one thing he did mention was that he is, very much, into locally, games being played locally, like a Switch, and not cloud-based. He wants it to have both, but very much having a ability to download a game to the system, don't have to play it over the cloud. But I think the one thing it's got to do, an Xbox handheld, is if it's going to compete with a Steam Deck, which has Linux on it, it's very much got to have a very user-friendly, which is, I know, an oxymoron for those of you out there with computer systems. A very user-friendly handheld version of Windows on it. Where you can have a Windows background to do some Windows things. Like, I'm not talking about, like, Microsoft Word on there. Or Microsoft Excel, so you can, text Nelly like Kelly Rowan did, that one music video. But you can, it can't be like a Vita or something, where it's just the system. If you're going to put a handheld out there and Xbox Microsoft backed, it's got to have a user-friendly Windows. Yeah, I know. I said it's an oxymoron, 100%. But they need something to separate themselves that's not just the games. Because, like I said, Steam Deck with Linux, and Nintendo has its own closed system that's Nintendo stuff. Okay, yeah, maybe yeah, I don't know. I don't feel that Xbox could make it, and I don't know. This basically came out a couple days ago, and I've been digesting it, thinking about it here, But yeah. The Vita was awesome. But is that so much the technology that the Vita did, or is it that Sony did something really great with it, didn't know how good of a thing they made, and backed out because it wasn't a runaway hit? This thing could be successful if it was just a Game Pass machine, to be honest. It gives you Game Pass Ultimate, and you can play PC and console games on it. That's all they need to do. But I think trying to do a user-friendly Windows thing would be something that could make it stand out. But it also might not need it. I don't know. I'm not techie. Night Duck, very much more techie than I am. So I would trust him with any thoughts on that. But, yeah. I just kind of think when you're bringing something to market, you have to find the thing that makes it stand out. And I feel that the Steam Deck ability to have Linux and to be able to mod it the way people modded it was the standout thing that separates it from, the other things that are out in the market already. But if you're an Xbox fanboy, you got years away, you're going to have your handheld system out there. If you just don't play anything else, just Xbox. Only an Xbox guy. Sony has cooties. If you're that type of person, you'll be having a handheld soon. Next up, also in the same interview, Phil Spencer says that it is not necessary for them to do an Xbox Pro, or Xbox Series X Pro, or whatever, because, everybody's reacting to the PS5 Pro, which I've seen get middling, reviews in terms of what it does is really good for a lot of games, but is it worth $700? So that's sort of what I mean by the middling. Like, it's not this, oh my god, you gotta have it. You gotta get rid of your regular PS5 to get this, which is kind of what I feel the PS4 to PS4 Pro release was like. This is more like a luxury item. If you want to upgrade, it's there, and it does what it wants. It does what it says. The quality is better, performance is better. I heard the fan's a little loud, but that would be understandable when you upgrade the technology into a small box. But yeah. But Microsoft does not feel like he says it's not like it's less like the old days where they have to do this. So they're probably already looking forward to the next Xbox. rather than doing a mid step here. But yeah, this is more. I brought this up more to talk about both sides. Xbox kind of probably feels like they don't need to do this, even though the Pro like blows them away specs wise. But they kind of feel that being the top of the market in their eyes, like I said before, I don't know enough to say this as an opinion, that they're above the base PS5, but below this luxury item, they feel like they're in a good spot. They can sell themselves as, hey, we're almost as good as that thing, and we're $300 less during the holiday season, or whatever sales they put on during Black Friday in December for it. But yeah, I think the Sony thing. The best advice I heard from somebody, I forget if it was on Nextlander or Jeff Gerstmann. It was one of them that had the best opinions about the system. Was that if you're buying a PS5 for the first time, you should absolutely get a Pro. Like, the difference is so much that if you're in the market for a PS5, just go with the Pro. It's 100% worth it. But it's not, you don't need to upgrade your PS5 to make sure that it matches that. Where's this one? Alright, I don't know where that little black is coming in on my green screen. Sorry about that. Yeah, so, you know, wish I lived in that price range to be able to be in this discussion. Moving on, other news. Half-Life 2, 20th anniversary. They upgraded the game with a developer commentary. They improved the graphics and added a 2-hour documentary to the game. And, you know, while it's not Half-Life 3, it's a lot of things for, you know, the, what's called, the Half-Life 2 fan in you. You know, it's a, you know, the documentary is behind the scenes look at everything. It's a really nice in-depth peek from what I've heard. And then updates, including access to the original Episode 1 and Episode 2 expansions. And, you know, and they're recording 2 more bonuses and just general touch-ups and stuff like that. Yeah, you can get the game for free if you're listening to this live. I'm assuming you can get it today. It says until November 18th. I don't know if that's like midnight tomorrow or today if you're listening to this on the podcast. But yeah, that means you get the entire experience at 2 expansive, no cost, as long as you click the download button in the next few days. I might go do that as soon as I sign off here. Yeah, so they're doing a RTX remaster as well, they announced, and a trailer for that project was released with this as well. And there was also some things, I believe, in a documentary, or I can't find the exact thing that it mentions here, but there was some gameplay footage from Half-Life 2 Episode 3 as amongst this here. So, you know, for you Half-Life fans out there, some big news on the anniversary here. Yeah, so make sure you get that free thing if you haven't already. Atomfall, the game dubbed British Fallout, is coming out in March. You know, got to get it out in the fiscal year. So March 27th next year. It's on PC and Steam and Epic. And it is on all consoles. And it will go straight into Game Pass, which is music to my ears. So the if you haven't known what Atomfall is, the official blurb from the developers is about the nuclear disaster. To solve this, you will need to navigate military encampments, delve through abandoned bunkers, below ground and risk your life in pagan ruins. Central to the dark mystery is the host of eccentric characters and cryptic organizations that inherit the quarantine zone. These individuals have been cut off from the outside world for years and left to their own devices, so are anything but normal. But be careful, they aren't as friendly as you will need to get, as they aren't all friendly, and you will need to get to grips with an array of ranged and melee weapons if you wish to survive. And they put out a new trailer, which showed a couple of unsettling things, a ringing telephone, and all, kind of just setting the atmosphere there. It's a single player survival action. So, no games as service and stuff like that. So a lot of fun things. You get to define your characters through interactions with NPCs, RPG elements, and skill trees. So basically Fallout. So I am excited for this. I'm glad that it is on Game Pass. So it's March 27th for Atomfall, or anywhere you get games, basically. And in some, as much as we boo Nintendo for this stuff, in some fuck around and find out news, Nintendo was able to track down that streamer that said he could do this all day and pirate Nintendo games to keep playing. He called himself a Switch pirate, and was basically taunting Nintendo about this, saying he had thousands of burner channels so that he could stream pirated games and could do it all day. And so Nintendo has tracked him down and sued him for millions of dollars. As much as I don't condone Nintendo going after, ROMs and emulators and stuff like that, a good fuck around and find out moment of a guy taunting a $1 billion corporation. It's kind of funny. What did you think was going to happen, dude? Essentially. Now he could win the case or whatever. Apparently, he didn't show up to the case, so they have a default judgment. So, yeah. Basically, you can fight the corporations and fuck the man, but don't go on the internet and taunt the man, because they will be able to find you. Sometimes, unless you're anonymous, you're not as good as you thought. So I just wanted to bring that up quickly, because we had semi-talked about Nintendo's shitty tactics in the past, but this was kind of funny. Alright, and more fun news. Guys, I know you were worried if you saw it online, but Sonic is still homeless. He is still a drifter that goes throughout multiple lands. He does not have a home in Green Hill Zone. So you can breathe a sigh of relief. For those of you that wish Sonic to never find happiness in a home, he still does not have one. He is unhoused, and you can go to sleep knowing that. The fun part was, I didn't know this was a big thing that was contentious in the Sonic community. So much so that the, what's his name? I want to get his full title in here. The associate manager of Sonic the Hedgehog lore at Sega, Chris Hernandez, literally had to go on the Hell site and tell everybody that he is still homeless, essentially. So yeah, and I agree. Green Hill Zone might be the most expensive land for him to buy real estate in, Sonic, honestly. I mean, a lot of other places are just, abandoned wastelands that he could probably find better, cheaper real estate. But yeah, apparently this is the big thing that blew up all over the internet. In terms of a Sonic having a home. So, yep. Rest assured, he still does not have a place to lay his head. Um, unless if Amy Rose has a place to stay, then obviously it drags her along and sleeps on her couch. Moving on. And in a game that looks like it is an early contender, because it is coming out next year, right? I believe it is. A game that is becoming an early contender for Game of the Year for me is Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii. Allows you to use an ocarina to summon a killer jellyfish. Every headline that comes out about this game makes me more and more excited for this game. I pretty much think I have to finish Infinite Wealth before playing it, which is going to be a December game for me, which I think, did that come out this year? Fuck. I might have to start that in early December and see if I can get it done by the end of the year to put it on my list. But anyway, every headline about Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii is more and more ridiculous and more exciting for me to want to play this game. Oh, man. Yeah, so, the people over at Ryuga, RGG, we'll just say RGG because I'm not too tired to try and make sure I pronounce that correctly. And they changed his Mad Dog fighting style to Sea Dog. That's fucking great. Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to this game. Just a great headline and very, very funny. Early contender for Game of the Year over here. Next up, a man to my heart. A Redditor named Pilgor was able to reach prestige level number 1 with a 0.00 KD after 111 games or almost 20 hours of multiplayer. He gained enough experience despite having 0 kills. And he was able to achieve the feat by having a 1.92 win ratio. And essentially, I'm assuming he would get points. I'm going to scroll here. Yeah, so he would get points by using like the spy cam, UAVs, that kind of stuff. And he uses score streaks instead of kill streaks, and that was how he got points. Yeah, if you can... He says 4 spy cams can generally get you a UAV, CUAV on its own. So without a kill, he was able to level up. This is kind of amazing, and it's a man. Shows you that anybody can prestige. You don't have to kill anybody to do it. So this is why I love playing Call of Duty multiplayers. Muted, obviously, so I'm not getting screamed at. Because while KDs are fun, they've balanced the game enough that it's not the be all end all in terms of leveling your stuff up. So shout out to Pilgor, the pacifist we all want to be. And one final Phil Spencer thing. This isn't the final story, but from that interview, this meme going around about the Xbox is great. I believe this is the actual advertisement, and everybody has started to meme it, which is very, very good. So we'll exit this out. Where is the button to get out of this? Oh, it was its own thing. Okay. Yeah, this is an Xbox campaign, which includes images of cats and bento boxes among other devices that play video games. The idea is trying to get across, which, in keeping with its previous messaging, is that Xbox is less about consoles these days and more about being able to play on any device capable of playing a video game system. So in this sense, a TV is an Xbox, a phone is an Xbox, etc. Obviously, Xbox fanboys aren't happy about it. But this is a very, very good marketing campaign. Sometimes you just gotta have some fun with your gaming advertisements. So anything that pisses off fanboys is always number one in my book. So kudos to Xbox here. And our final two stories are our normal wrap-ups. The PlayStation Plus stuff for November 2024. Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming back. Dying Light 2 Stay Human. Like a Dragon Ishin. MotoGP. The Sims. Digimon. Overcooked. Stick Fight. Clash Artifacts of Chaos, Killer Frequency, Hungry Shark World, Chivalry 2. That's the extra and premium line. And then for you premium people, Synapse, Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen 2, Resistance, Fall of Man, Resistance 2. So these are for your, if you do the next level up, in terms of PlayStation, if I understand the categories correctly. If you have the Essentials, which is the low tier, you are not getting any of this. But those are some pretty good games for if you do upgrade to Extra at some point. And finally, this was the only one that I could find of reliable. That's pretty good. I like that, Night Duck. Night Duck says Microsoft has finally put out something there that explains the Series S versus Series X. That's pretty good. And finally, because this is the only one that I could find reliable information, Nintendo has announced its Black Friday sales starting November 24th. So this is sort of just a mini breakdown. I'm sure some of these links will take you to the full thing. But Tears of the Kingdom is $40 physical at Target, or you can get it online for $50. Mario Maker 2, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Pikmin 4, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. And the physical version of Nintendo Switch Sports is $49.99. Super Mario Odyssey and Pikmin 1 and 2 are $30. That might be the deal there, even though it's really old, but Super Mario Odyssey, really fucking good game. Accessories that have a price drop, Neon Red and Blue Joy-Con controllers and the Nintendo Switch Pro controller are $20 off. Tears of the Kingdom themed Nintendo Switch carrying case and screen protector, $10 off. If I didn't already have my Zelda one, I would probably be picking that one up. From Breath of the Wild. Console bundles. Looks like they're bundling with Mario Kart 8, which is smart. Here. The OLED one is $350. The regular one is $300. And then, and it, I think it comes with Nintendo Online Switch stuff. I think they've been doing that with the things. So the Nintendo Switch Lite Hyrule Edition is $210. Features the gold design, Hyrulean crest, and it includes 12 months Nintendo Switch Online, an expansion pack, and does not come with a game. But definitely a much, much cheaper option there. And is more of a handheld than the Mix there. Switch games, the deals that are already live. Echoes of Wisdom is now $45 in some places. Brothership is down to $50 at Woot. And then you can Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Oh, that's another game from this year. Tears of the Kingdom we mentioned. Luigi's Mansion, Super Mario RPG, New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe thing, and then there's in-store events. November 16th and 17th, which already happened. They did live demos of Super Mario Party Jamboree. December 7th is Best Buy Family Fun Day. We'll have hands-on demos for Brothership, Echoes of Wisdom, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Mario Kart 8, and Just Dance. And GameStop will host demos on December 14th. But you don't need to go there. Go to the Best Buy one. But yeah. Black Friday falls a little late this year on November 29th. So if you're looking for Nintendo stuff, a lot of stuff here for Black Friday. Nintendo is normally very stingy about sales and stuff, so the fact that these aren't ridiculously low prices is no surprise. But it's at least something. Like I said, if you haven't gotten Odyssey yet, $30 is great for Odyssey. I would go ahead and do that. So, and those deals for the consoles are pretty great too. I got a lot of late, I got a Wii pretty late in its life, for like $50 or $75 or something weird like that. Like Wii U had been out a while too. That was a black Wii that came with Super Mario, the side-scrolling one, New Super Mario Brothers, and that was perfectly fine and great. And then I went and bought a bunch of used Galaxies and stuff. But yeah, they're always really good about the console stuff because they want to get the inventory out when new stuff is coming in. Yeah, so that'll do it. As I said, this podcast, let's go back to the full screen. This podcast will air tomorrow or Monday for those of you on YouTube and podcast services. The spoiler cast I recorded on Saturday with Extra Life, that's next Monday. That's the Monday after. That is the 25th, I think it's the 25th. So no news hour this week coming up. We will be live tonight with Jesus Christ, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 for the Sega Genesis. And then we'll be live again on Saturday for our final week of Extra Life. Still trying to get to that $1,000. There you can donate at tinyurl.com/Extra Life Year 9, the number 9. Get us there so that I have to play Phasmophobia. So, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you tonight if you're not here live. If you are here live and you're not coming tomorrow, we will see you on Saturday. It's been fun. Bye!